Hey y'all, um, Teddy Grandpa here. I'm at a work camp out in Nome, Alaska. I'm working my ass off. Um, getting my life together, doing everything I can to take care of Teddy Grandma. When I got off work today, I seen a video that my wife made. Such a great person, y'all. But what she was talking is very true. An addict and being in addiction is selfish. It's like it makes you push away those that love you and chase everything that don't matter and that will destroy you. And you pull and attract all these people that are bad for you. And you just push away the ones that love you the most, that will do anything for you to have a life, 9 years ago, I got into a relationship with my wife. She had been formerly incarcerated, and she had went to prison on a 20-year bid. She was an addict, by society rules, a loser. She had grew up in horrible things, existence. And she went to jail and she cracked open the Bible. And God did his work. And he changed her heart. And over the next 6 years of her life, she became sober. She got an attitude of righteousness, realized she was a conqueror, and ultimately changed. And here 19 years later, we're going on 20 years, she's been clean and sober. And I'll tell you about my wife, she grew up in horrible existence, horrible circumstances, was victim to rape, to molestation, grew up to go into things I will let her tell you, as far as women are concerned. And she was just not like the likely suspect to get her life together. But she did. She heard God, and she listened to him, and he changed her life. Jeremiah 29:11 talks about how God wants to give you hope in a future, and to set the captives free. So, anyways, she went on to getting herself out of prison early, to opening up a ministry called Fallen Up Ministries, to launching and opening up a transitional home for ex-felons to get out and come to, for people that come out of prison and need a place to stay. And it's ultimately where I met her. I mean, I knew her back in the day when she was in the streets and I was in the streets. But I was about to get out in 2015 and I needed somewhere to go, because I had burnt and broke and destroyed every relationship that was good for me in my life. So I had nobody after all of these years of incarceration. So one of my other friends had said, "Hey, do you remember Taria?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Man, she changed her life. You wouldn't even recognize her today. But she opened this home, and maybe I'll call her and see if you can go there." And that's what happened, and Taria let me there. As soon as I seen Taria when I walked out of jail, my heart dropped. I'll never forget it. I was supposed to meet her at this place, called Partners for Progress Reentry Center, and it's a place where they'll give you funding to be able to stay at a place. And when I walked up, because I was supposed to meet her outside, she was putting money in her parking meter for her truck. And when I walked up, I said, "Hi, Teria," and she turned over and she pulled her hair over her head and looked at me with her blue eyes, and I was shook. And I fell in love instantly. And this is 2015. But naturally, I didn't tell her, I just did 10 years. I got out, and I was out 19 days and caught 16 new felonies and went back to prison. And they were trying to give me 30 years. I had already been locked up since I was 14 is when it started. And then, 14, and then I walked out 40 years old. And I was out 19 days. Couldn't handle it, and I went right back. And they were going to give me this time. But 3 days after I walked into jail, some guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, Lowdown." I was like, "What's up?" He says, "You know Teria?" And I said, "Yeah, I know her." He said, "Well, she said if I seen you to have you call her." And I was so embarrassed because I was only out a few days and I went right back. And, and I had a crush on her, so I didn't want to look like a loser, more than a loser than I already did. But from that moment on, I made that phone call. And it changed the trajectory of my life. It changed it. And I didn't know at the time that was an answered prayer. Because 10 years ago, in a solitary confinement room, I hit my knees in the back of a cell, crying out to the Lord. And I asked him to change my life, that I would spend the rest of my life doing what he wanted me to do. And that explains these videos and everything I'm trying to do now. But my problems didn't stop there. I gave my life to God. I prayed that prayer half-heartedly. And then a year later, my wife comes. And for the next 9 years of my life, my wife did everything she could for me. She fought for me on the streets. All of her friends turned their back on her because she was with me. They all said I was a sociopath, a loser, all these things. So all these doors that my wife had open, they slammed in her face. And she stayed true to me. No matter what happened, she fought for me on the streets. She looked out for me. There was never a day in jail that I didn't have what I needed to have. She took care of me and she looked out for me. And then what did I do? Just like any old great old addict, I got out, and although I was married to her now, I had a life and everything, I went right back to the old vomit. Same old shit. And I'm going to tell you, I almost lost the best thing that ever happened. But I talked in a video yesterday about one of our friends. She was a CO. She married a guy, that was in prison like me, that I know. And his life has taken a very different turn. Like, he preaches God, he claims all these things, and then this lady that he's married to, she's a beautiful, beautiful daughter of God. Wholeheartedly, just an awesome person. And he played her to the left. And now I listen to her cry. And I'm like, damn, I can't believe he's doing it. But I did that. I can't believe he's doing that to you. But I did that shit. When I first got out, I was so scared of society. I didn't know how to handle the way people think in society. So, in jail, you look at somebody wrong, you might get stabbed. It might be the end of your life for that shit. And then you get out here and people are so rude. You get out here and people just don't care about people all too much, People are rude, they cut in line, they talk shit, they do all these things, kind of like trolls on here, And I didn't know how to handle it. And life out here was stressful for me. And I went back to the same old thing I knew. And I treated my wife, Teria, tatted grandma, bad. And although I didn't go out and find somebody else and I didn't do all those things, I think about the tears she cried, thinking, was this all a waste? God, why would you put me through this? Questioning in her own faith. And when she made that video this afternoon, she was talking about that, like being the family member or the spouse, or the friend of somebody that is throwing their life away to addiction and trying to be real and hold yourself together when the person you love is breaking you down for nothing, for drugs, man. Drug addiction is selfish, and we don't think about that part of it. I didn't talk to my family for 20 years because of it. I burnt and broke every bridge in my life because I didn't care. But today when I came home and I seen my wife's video and I know what my other friend Megan's going through, I hurt so much for Megan. And I have a sense of the shame, towards, I should have never did that kind of stuff to my wife. My wife has always been good to me, man. She's always been my partner, my ace dudes. You guys see our videos. I love her with all my heart. Not only do I want to be clean today, for myself and for my community, but, dude, my wife is a queen. She is God planet in my life. She has so much empathy for people that are suffering. I'll tell you right now, man. I talked yesterday on a video about, things that go viral. My wife is so kind. She's so real. So loyal. Like, man, it almost gave that up. And that's what we do for drugs. And I thank God today that He spoke to me in church in November last year and told me to turn myself in. I literally heard God tell me, He called me fake. And then He said, turn yourself in. And I did that. I went to jail and I turned myself in. I told him, hey, to my parole officer, said, hey, I got high. And if you look through my videos and you go down, you'll see all of this stuff play out. And you even hear a video of me, of my wife playing me in jail and me saying sorry to you. But ever since I answered the Lord's call and went back and did everything since then that I say I will, because I recognize my wife's pain, I finally understand. We gotta think more about the people that mean the most and less about the fake shit. today I live an honorable life, a blessed life. And I work my ass off. I'm 50 years old, out in the winter cold, working my ass off. My knees is hurting, my shoulders hurting, begging for something else to come, so that I could. But it's not for me. I will do it all to make sure my wife has a good life. So all I want is her to know that it wasn't for nothing. If you're suffering, think about those people, man. Think about the people that just would give anything for you to straighten up. We victimize them so bad, and they don't deserve it. Megan doesn't deserve it. She's so nice, so kind, loves God so much. And some guy's just destroying her for drugs. It is a hard job to be somebody that loves somebody that's in addiction. Don't give up on them. But don't let them run over you. Don't be played. You got to draw that line in the sand. You got to tell them enough is enough. If you love me and you want a good life, then this is the guidelines. And stand firm. Because that changed my life. I didn't want to lose my wife. Certainly the drugs. So I changed, and today I'm happy. I'm happy. I bought my wife a home. I remodeled it. I let her quit work and chase her dreams as an esthetician. And I'm out here footing all the bills so that she could have peace. There's just real power in the messages that me and my wife lead. And we're going to kind of bounce off of each other. Like I'll speak about things and then she'll kind of answer them, on her point of view of it. She is a wise woman, man. And she has taught me everything about being a good, loyal person. I'm so thankful to my wife. I love you, Taria. Tatty Grandma, my other half. I love you. You're my bestie, baby. God used you in a mighty way. And I hope others will get on here and look at my wife's character and my character today and realize that shit don't have to be like that. Don't matter how far you fell down the pit, that you can climb out of that shit as long as you don't tap out. As long as you start to listen to those that love you. And shut down the ones that don't. Real recognize real, you know what I mean? Like my video yesterday. Anyways, I'm getting to a point where I'm rambling on. I love y'all. Y'all take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Listen to my wife. Stay up on our stuff. Listen to our stuff. Respond. Promote it. Push it on. People got to hear it, I love you. God bless you. I thank you. I thank you so much. Have a good night.